Some do's and don'ts of terminating a connected switchgear patented SMS1QF plug base. A couple of things to remember when you're wiring this particular product. When you're rotating the rear lever into the locked position, once the housing has been closed, it needs to clip. If it doesn't clip, then you won't terminate the product successfully. When you're using a 1.5mm cable, it's always important to ensure that the sliding base is slid across to the 1.5mm side. Otherwise the cable will wobble around in the base and it won't accurately align with the conductor pins, and it perhaps won't wire correctly. When closing the rear housing, you need to ensure that it always clips shut. When rotating the rear lever, it needs to click into the locked position. Some other problems that could be encountered, especially with 1.5mm cable, if it's twisted or got kinks in it, you'd want to straighten it out as best you can, and if at all possible, not position the kinks or the twists in the area where it has to sit in the cable guide. Positioning the cable inside the sliding base cable guide, you need to ensure that it sits flat and that it doesn't twist or pop out before the rear housing is closed, because proper alignment with the pins won't be achieved. When making a nick in the cable to try to identify which core conductor you've got, you don't want to strip any more of the cable than that's necessary. If stripping the cable to that extent, then don't place that part of the outer sheath inside the guide. It really needs to be placed outside of the guide, because putting that in the guide, it won't successfully align with the pins. So always ensure that the stripped part of the cable is away from the sliding sides of the guide before you close the rear housing. The last thing to remember is when using an end termination grommet, it is designed to be used one way in the product. One side is curved, one side is square. The curved side needs to sit down within the housing. If it is rotated the wrong way, that is the square side down, then what will happen is it will prevent the rear housing from closing successfully and termination won't be achieved.